The Discovery. The abandoned human space station Sentinel drifted silently through the void, a dark monument to a fallen civilization. Once the crown jewel of human military innovation, it now appeared as nothing more than a derelict shell, its exterior scarred by old battles and decades of cosmic debris. No lights shone from its viewports, no communication signals broadcast its presence. For 80 years, it had remained hidden in the shadow of a gas giant in an unremarkable star system, forgotten by the victors of a war long ended. Captain Vex of the Krith Collective stood on the bridge of his scavenger vessel, the Swift Claw, studying the massive human station through the main view screen. His slender, gray-skinned fingers tapped thoughtfully against the command console as his large, amber eyes narrowed in assessment. "Scan complete, Captain," reported Navigator's Rill, her delicate antennae twitching with excitement. "No power signatures, no life signs. The station appears completely abandoned, just as our intelligence suggested." Vex nodded slowly, his scaled head reflecting the blue light of the bridge instruments. "Prepare the boarding team. If the intelligence is correct, this station contains technology that could be extremely valuable to the collective." The Krith had emerged victorious in the Great War against humanity. Earth and its colonies now existed under collective control, with most surviving humans living as a subjugated species. But rumors had persisted about secret weapons projects that humans had been developing in the final days of the war, technologies they never had the chance to deploy. "Why explore this relic now, after all these decades?" asked Tekka, Vex's second-in-command, as they prepared their equipment in the launch bay. "New information," Vex replied, checking the power cell on his scanner. "Our data miners discovered encrypted files that mentioned this station by name. It was supposed to be destroyed in the final offensive, but apparently someone ensured its survival instead. High Command believes whatever is hidden here could be significant." 6 Krith soldiers joined them, each equipped with the distinctive blue-green armor of collective explorers. Their skin tones varied from pale silver to deep charcoal, but they all shared the same vertical pupil eyes that allowed them to see in near-complete darkness. "Remember," Vex instructed as the team performed final equipment checks, "we are here to recover technology and information. Do not damage anything that might be valuable." The humans were defeated, but their ingenuity should not be underestimated. The boarding shuttle departed with barely a whisper, its stealth systems engaged. Vex gazed through the viewport as they approached the immense human station. The Sentinel was truly massive, nearly 3 kilometers in length, dwarfing their scavenger vessel. Despite its apparent dormancy, the name remained visible on the hull in faded human lettering. The shuttle found an emergency airlock that wasn't fully sealed. They attached their vessel and cut through the remaining barriers with precision tools designed for such incursions. "Atmosphere reading," Vex inquired as they prepared to enter. "Thin but breathable," reported Tekka, studying her scanner. "Temperature is significantly below optimal, but our suits will compensate. It appears some minimal life support systems have continued functioning at a baseline level, just enough to prevent complete structural failure." Vex nodded and gave the order. "Activate stealth fields." Each member of the team activated the device on their wrist, causing a subtle shimmer to cascade over their bodies as the advanced technology bent light around them. The effect wasn't perfect invisibility, but in the darkness of the derelict station, they would be nearly impossible to detect. They moved through the airlock and into the silent station. The corridors were wide and tall, designed for humans who stood taller than the average Krith. Emergency lighting cast an eerie red glow at intervals, creating long shadows that seemed to move with them. Their footsteps echoed softly despite their careful movements. "This station is enormous," whispered one of the soldiers. "It could have housed thousands of humans." "It did," confirmed Vex. The Sentinel was reportedly one of their most significant military installations. They passed through what appeared to be residential quarters. Personal belongings remained scattered throughout. Images of loved ones, clothing items, small treasures, as if the inhabitants had expected to return at any moment. "I've never seen a human facility this intact," Tekka remarked, scanning everything with her device. "Most were destroyed during combat or dismantled afterward." Vex nodded thoughtfully. "That's precisely why this one is special. Someone wanted it preserved." The team continued deeper into the station. The air grew colder the further they ventured, with frost formations glistening in corners where moisture had collected and frozen. Their breath formed small clouds before their faces as they walked. After nearly an hour of exploration through the enormous facility, they had reached a set of massive doors, unlike any they had encountered so far. These were sealed tight, with no obvious access mechanism. "Control Center," Tekka translated, reading the human writing above the entrance. "This should contain the information we're seeking." Two soldiers placed small decryption devices on the door's security panel. The devices hummed quietly as they worked to override the ancient human security systems. With a soft click and a hiss of releasing pressure, the doors slowly parted. The control center was expansive, with numerous workstations arranged in concentric circles around a central command platform. Everything was covered in a thin layer of frost, and the screens were dark and lifeless. At the center stood what appeared to be the captain's chair, surrounded by the most sophisticated control interfaces. "Begin downloading data from the main computer system," ordered Vex. "Search for anything related to weapons research or defense projects." As the team dispersed throughout the control center, Tekka's scanner emitted a soft, rhythmic beeping. "Captain," she called, her voice tense, "I'm detecting a power source. Faint, but active, originating from deep within the station." Vex frowned, his head crest rising slightly in concern. "That shouldn't be possible. This station has been dormant for 80 years. "The reading is clear," Tekka insisted, adjusting her scanner. "And it's growing stronger, as if something is awakening." A soldier called from across the chamber. "Captain, I've located a station schematic. There's a restricted area 3 levels below us, at the very core of the station. It's designated as Project Prometheus." Vex felt a chill that had nothing to do with the station's cold atmosphere. He recognized the reference from human mythology, the one who gave fire to humanity, who defied the gods. "We need to investigate," he decided. "Zrill, continue extracting data here. The rest of you, come with me." They located a maintenance shaft that allowed them to descend through the levels of the station. The air temperature dropped even further as they made their way downward. By the time they reached the 3rd level below the control center, their breath formed thick clouds before them. The architecture here was noticeably different, more secure, with reinforced walls and fewer access points. They followed Tekka's scanner until they reached another set of doors, even more heavily fortified than those of the control center above. In faded red letters, the words "Project Prometheus," "Authorized personnel only," were emblazoned across the entrance. "The power signature is coming from behind these doors," Tekka confirmed. "It's definitely active and growing stronger by the minute." Vex hesitated. Their mission was to gather intelligence, not to interfere with anything that might still be operational. But his curiosity proved too compelling. "Open it," he commanded. It took considerably longer this time. The security protocols were far more advanced. Eventually, however, the doors slid open with the grinding protest of metal long unused. Beyond lay a circular chamber dominated by a central dais. Atop the platform stood a transparent cylinder filled with a cloudy blue fluid. Within the cylinder floated what appeared to be a human female, suspended in the liquid, eyes closed as if in peaceful slumber. As they entered, lights began to activate around the chamber, softly at first, then with increasing brightness. Computer terminals flickered to life, and a gentle hum filled the air as systems that had been dormant for nearly a century began to function once more. "What's happening?" asked one of the soldiers nervously. "We've triggered something," Tekka replied, studying her scanner with growing alarm. "The power levels are increasing exponentially." Vex approached the cylinder cautiously. As the lighting intensified, He could clearly see the human within. She appeared to be in her prime years by human standards, with dark hair that floated gently in the suspension fluid. Her body was lean and muscular, suggesting military training. "Is she alive?" someone whispered. Before Vex could respond, a synthesized voice spoke from unseen speakers, addressing them in the human language. "NTUREDR, ALERT. Project Prometheus, Security PROTOCOLS Activated. Awakening Sequence Initiated." The fluid in the cylinder began to drain rapidly. The human's fingers twitched, then her hand formed a fist. "We need to leave," Vex said urgently, suddenly understanding they had made a grave mistake. But it was too late. As they turned to escape, the human's eyes snapped open, intense, alert, and filled with purpose. Humanity's last weapon was awake. The reckoning. Cold. That was Commander Elena Reyes' first sensation, a bone-deep chill that seemed to reach into her very core. Then came the pain, like needles piercing every cell as her nervous system reactivated after decades of suspension. She tried to move, but her muscles weren't yet responsive. Through blurred vision, she perceived unfamiliar silhouettes moving around the chamber, figures that were decidedly not human. A voice spoke directly into her mind, calm and without emotion. "Commander Reyes, I am Athena, the station's artificial intelligence. You have been in suspended animation for 81 years, 247 days, 14 hours. The station has been breached by Krith forces. Project Prometheus protocols are now active." Reyes attempted to speak, but could only produce a weak sound, her throat parched, her tongue uncooperative after nearly a century of disuse. "Do not attempt verbal communication yet," Athena continued in her thoughts. "Your body is still recovering. The nanites are working to repair the cellular damage caused by long-term suspension." A warm sensation began spreading through Reyes' body, gradually displacing the cold. The pain receded, and her vision sharpened. She could now clearly see the intruders, 7 alien beings with slender bodies, gray-scaled skin, and large, amber eyes. They were looking at her with what she interpreted as fear. Reyes recognized their species from her briefings before entering suspension. Krith, humanity's primary adversary in the war. The taller one seemed to be issuing orders to the others as they backed toward the exit. Reyes needed to stop them. If they escaped, they would bring reinforcements before she was ready. With immense effort, she directed a thought to Athena. "Lock down the station." Alarms blared throughout the Sentinel. Heavy security doors slammed shut across the facility, including those to the Prometheus chamber. The aliens reacted with surprise, drawing weapons, small devices that Reyes knew could project destructive energy beams. "What have you done?" demanded the tall one, looking frantically at the sealed exits. "Disable these security measures immediately." Reyes couldn't respond verbally yet, but she felt stronger with each passing second. The nanites in her bloodstream were working efficiently, repairing cells, rebuilding muscle tissue, restoring her to optimal condition. "The intruders are from a Krith scavenger vessel designated Swift Claw," Athena informed her. "There are 7 aboard our station, with 3 more remaining on their ship. They have breached our security using advanced decryption tools. Shall I activate defense protocols?" "Not yet," Reyes thought back. "First, tell me what happened." "The war. Earth. The war ended 80 years ago. Humanity was defeated. Earth and all major colonies are under Krith control. Most surviving humans live under subjugation. The Sentinel was concealed as per final directive, with you in suspension. We were to await activation when conditions became favorable for Project Prometheus deployment." Reyes closed her eyes briefly. Everything and everyone she had known was gone. All that remained was her mission. The aliens were attempting to override the door locks without success. The leader, Captain Vex, Reyes assumed from the insignia on his armor, approached the cylinder where she was held. "Can you understand me, human?" he asked in accented but intelligible English. I am Captain Vex of the Krith Collective. We intend no harm. We merely seek information. Reyes could now move her fingers, then her hands. The warm sensation of the Nanite's work had spread throughout her body, bringing life back to her limbs. The suspension fluid had completely drained, and she was now simply supported by the framework within the cylinder. Commander, communicated Athena. Basic motor functions have been restored. Speech capability will follow shortly. Integrated systems are still calibrating. The cylinder hissed and began to open. The aliens stepped back, raising their weapons defensively. Reyes fell forward onto her hands and knees, coughing and gasping as her lungs fully expanded for the first time in decades. Careful, Vex warned his team. We don't know what this human is capable of. Reyes looked up at them, her vision now perfectly clear, enhanced even. She could perceive details that should have been impossible to see. The minute patterns in their scales, the dilation of their pupils in response to fear, the subtle tension in their muscles as they prepared to fight or flee. You should not have come here, Reyes said, her voice rough from disuse, but functional. She slowly rose to her feet, noting that her body felt lighter, more responsive than she remembered. Stronger. We will depart peacefully, offered Vex, weapons still trained on her. Simply disengage the lockdown. Reyes took a step forward, causing the aliens to tense visibly. You don't understand. By waking me, you've activated Project Prometheus. It cannot be stopped now. What is Project Prometheus? Asked a female alien, her scanner still aimed at Reyes. What does it do? Reyes took another step. The nanites were feeding her tactical information now. Vulnerabilities in the aliens' armor, capabilities of their weapons, optimal attack sequences. I am Project Prometheus, she stated simply. One of the aliens fired in panic. The energy beam struck Reyes in the shoulder. It burned, but far less than it should have. She glanced at the wound and watched with detached fascination as the damaged tissue began to knit itself back together, the edges pulling closed as the nanites accelerated her healing process. The aliens stared in evident shock. Impossible, whispered Vex. Reyes moved with unnatural speed, closing the distance to the soldier who had fired. She seized his weapon and crushed it in her hand, the metal and composite materials yielding like clay. The room erupted into chaos as the aliens scattered, firing their weapons. Reyes dodged with preternatural agility. She didn't wish to kill them, not immediately. She needed information first. As she fought, more memories surfaced. Scientists explaining the modifications they had made to her body, how the nanites would learn and adapt, how she would be humanity's final contingency if all else failed. She incapacitated the aliens efficiently, neutralizing each with precision strikes that rendered them unconscious but not fatally injured. Only Captain Vex remained standing, his weapon depleted of energy, backing away as she advanced. What are you? He asked, genuine fear evident in his voice. I told you, Reyes replied evenly. I am Project Prometheus, humanity's last hope. Vex glanced desperately around the chamber, finding no escape. The war is over, human. It has been for nearly a century. What do you hope to accomplish now? You're alone. Reyes smiled, though there was no warmth in the expression. I'm going to do what I was created to do. I'm going to give humanity a second chance. She reached out and lifted Vex by his throat, holding him effortlessly above the floor with one hand. And you, she continued, are going to help me. In the silence that followed, Athena spoke in Reyes' mind. Commander, I have detected a transmission from the Krith vessel. The remaining crew members have reported your awakening to their command structure. Reyes nodded. Good, she said aloud. Let them come. She looked into Vex's frightened eyes. Your people will send more ships, and those ships will bring more. And I will be waiting. 4 hours later, Vex sat on the floor of what had once been a storage compartment and now served as his prison. His wrists were restrained, and his equipment had been confiscated. The door slid open, and Commander Rice entered, now dressed in a fitted black uniform she had located somewhere in the station. She looked different, more composed, more formidable. Her eyes seemed to analyze everything with unnatural precision. "Your officers on the Swift Claw have requested reinforcements," Rice stated, stepping into the room. "A Krith battlecruiser will arrive within 6 hours." Vex remained silent, attempting to comprehend the adversary he faced. This human should have been weakened after decades in suspension. Instead, she moved like a perfect combat machine, defeating his entire team with ease. "I need information, Captain," Rice continued, crouching to his eye level. "Tell me about the galaxy now. What happened after the war? How many humans survived? What is their condition?" Vex looked away. "Why should I tell you anything?" "Because I'll discover it anyway," Rice replied matter-of-factly. "Your reinforcements will arrive soon, but they won't be prepared for what awaits them." Something in her tone made Vex look up. "What are you planning?" Rice smiled slightly. "I'm going to take their ship. Then I'm going to find any humans who still live free. And together, we're going to reclaim what your people stole from us." Vex laughed bitterly. "Impossible. The collective controls dozens of star systems with thousands of vessels. You are one human on one obsolete station." "This station was merely my chrysalis," Rice countered. "I am what matters." Project Prometheus wasn't about creating a weapon. It was about creating a soldier who could adapt to any enemy, learn from them, become stronger with each encounter. She leaned closer. "The more of your kind who try to stop me, the more powerful I'll become." A chill ran down Vex's spine as he recalled how quickly she had healed from the energy weapon's blast, how rapidly she had learned to counter their tactics. But before he could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Rice stood abruptly, her posture alert. "Commander," Athena's voice echoed through the chamber. "I've detected an unknown vessel approaching at high velocity. It will reach us in approximately 12 minutes. "The reinforcements are early?" Rice asked. "Negative. This is not a Krith vessel. Configuration unknown. Weapons signatures not in database." Vex's eyes widened in recognition. "No," he whispered. "Not them." Rice studied his reaction closely. "You know this ship?" Vex nodded slowly, genuine fear evident in his expression. "They're called the Harvesters. They appeared about 30 years ago. They attack indiscriminately. Krith, human, all species. They don't communicate, don't negotiate. They simply take." "Another enemy?" Rice asked. Vex laughed humorlessly. "They're everyone's enemy. They move through systems like a plague, stripping planets and stations of resources, including living beings." Rice considered this information carefully. "Are they stronger than the Krith?" "Different," Vex replied. "Their technology is partially biological. Their ships can self-repair, and they adapt to attacks quickly." He looked directly at Rice. "Much like you." A new alert sounded. "3 small craft have launched from the Harvester vessel," Athena reported. "They appear to be boarding craft." "They're coming for us," Vex said, his voice tight with apprehension. "They must have detected the power signature when you awakened." Rice made a swift decision. "Athena, release Captain Vex's restraints." Vex looked up in surprise as the bindings on his wrists disengaged. "Why would you do this?" "Because we may need to work together to survive," Rice stated simply, offering him a hand up. "It seems we have a common enemy." Vex hesitated, then accepted her assistance and rose to his feet. "What about my team?" "Athena, release the other Krith and bring them to the armory," Rice ordered. "And prepare the station's defensive systems." Vex studied her with newfound curiosity. "You would ally with us, after what we did to your species?" Rhea's expression remained resolute. "I was created to ensure humanity's survival. Sometimes survival requires unexpected alliances." She gestured toward the door. "Besides, if what you say about these harvesters is true, they may be the greater threat to us all." As they moved through the corridor, Rise added, "When this is over, we'll renegotiate the terms between our species. But first, we need to ensure there's a future to negotiate for." Vex nodded slowly, recognition dawning in his eyes. Perhaps this human wasn't just a weapon after all, but something more, a spark that might ignite a new beginning from the ashes of old conflicts. As they prepared to face the approaching enemy, Rise felt the nanites humming through her system, adapting, evolving, making her stronger. She had awakened to a universe more complex than she had anticipated, but her purpose remained clear. Project Prometheus was active, and the fire of humanity would burn once more.